My background is Colombian. I was born in Colombia, and then we came over to the States when I was about 6 years old. I was raised in Clifton, New Jersey, which is the northern part of the state, about 14 miles outside of New York City. And I entered college seminary where I studied for 2 years, and I got a bachelor's of arts in Catholic studies prior to going across the pond to Rome and enrolling at the Gregorian. What stood out most to me was the great diversity in the classroom. I remember, especially during first cycle, sitting there with over 100 other classmates and thinking, my goodness, there is nowhere else in the world where you would be sitting in the same classroom with people. I believe back then we were representing over 45 countries worldwide. And it was just an awesome perspective of what the universal church really is, and then interacting with those students, right? So our experience of church is very different in South America, North America, than it is from Europe. And the European experience in Europe is very different from Africa. But the beauty of the Greg classroom was that you were able to interact with so many people who came from the four corners of the world and get insights into what their experience of church had been like and how the studies they were pursuing were obviously going to shape the way they were going to go back and serve in their particular churches. The class was great and I greatly enjoyed it. But then you go to the Haven, which is the Greg Cafe in between every class. And that's really where you heard a lot of what was being discussed in class talked about amongst students from, again, different nationalities, different backgrounds, studying for very different reasons. So that interval in between classes, that intermission was great. It just allowed us to bond together as brothers and sisters, and then to further discuss what we were learning and how we were learning to actually realize whether we were digesting the material well or not. The most valuable lesson from the Greg, I would say, I guess it's part of the Jesuit motto, ad maiorem Dei gloriam, to the greater glory of God. That's always stuck in my mind. And even till this day, I write it. Any personal note that I send out, I usually put the acronym at the top. But aside from that, I would say the need for continuous education, especially in the intellectual sphere of our lives as priests. I really think the Greg sparked that interest to never put the books to the side and forget about them, but to constantly, keep up to date with what's going on, latest theological articles, discussions. So intellectually stimulating. I would say first and foremost, give them my thanks, heartfelt gratitude for the opportunity that they give people like myself to really experience the universality of the church in a classroom, and thank them for allowing us to really have a very solid intellectual formation, which of course not only embellishes our priestly ministry, but also gives us all the necessary tools to be able to be good, effective, intelligent priests for God's people. I think in the end, it is God's people that benefit from those years of education at the Greg. And so I would ask them to please continue to do so to the best of their ability, so that as many young men and young women have the opportunity that I had, which is of course unforgettable, and it continues to come back time and time again as one reminisces about one's time in Rome.